All right, welcome back. Day two in my fancy new garage. I got to tell you, kind of like it in here. People said, well, we're going to stick them back in the corner. I said, you can stick me back in the corner if you make it into a garage. Now we're going to try and fix everything. We'll see how it goes. Today, talking about real solutions to the energy crisis facing this country. But what if I told you that there's actually something we can do right now without waiting for the president or the Congress or some grand plan to deal with all these alternatives? Something that you and I could do right now, something that our president and our Congress could lead us to do today, that would change not only the way our country uses energy, but that would change our national security and change the nature and the flow of investment of money in our own country. I want you to think about a very simple act, turning on a light to read the newspaper, or in this case I'll read these notes for T. Boone Pickens, who's going to be here for a minute. Now, the problem, as I turn my light on, is that the average utility in our country provides electricity at only a 34% efficiency rate. What does that mean? That means for every 10 gallons of heating oil, for every 10 tons of coal, for every 10 gallons of gas in your car, 2/3 of that gas, coal, heating oil, whatever it is that you've paid for, you've bought, you put it in there, doesn't go to do anything other than burn off into the atmosphere. Wasted and lost heat off of cars, houses, the power grid, power generation facilities. Why aren't we all using something a little bit more like this? Not just in our homes, but on our power grids, on our power generation facilities, on our automobiles, and down the line. No matter what we do to source our energy, efficiency is the fastest way to begin addressing the actual energy problem. You want to kill a terrorist? Turn off the light in the room you're not in. Do that over and over a few times. All of a sudden, you're sending less money to the Middle East. Consider that along with the fact that the United States only accounts for 5% of the population, you've heard this, and we consume 1/4 of the world's oil. But of the oil we're consuming, 2/3 of it we're burning off in waste out of our cars, houses, power grid, you pick it. It's like going into the woods and burning down a tree for fun. Why would you do that, especially at a time when the population is exploding? Look at the Gulf of Mexico. Meanwhile, our counterparts in Europe and Asia have found many ways to end this reckless consumption. Europeans using a process called combined heat and power. That, a proven game changer, statistically, bio or natural gas. I don't care if you're at this end or at this end. Those fuels are burned, and the heat that they provide ultimately is captured and recycled, and excess heat continues to go through at an efficiency rate of 80%. We're at 34%. Meanwhile, in Asia, Japan, in their factories, same thing. They want to reduce their costs. Using similar technology, they get 90% efficiency out of the energy that they consume, because they know that heat loss like that is absolutely disastrous, whether you're down here at the fossil fuel end or over here putting fryer grease in your car. Also, Thomas Casten, Chairman of Recycled Energy Development. And Mr. Casten, if I could, I'd like to begin with you, because I feel like we spend a lot of time talking about sourcing our energy in this country, understandably so, but I didn't realize how phenomenally inefficient our power generation, our power grid, our automobiles, our houses are, basically leading us to burn 2/3 of the energy we burn, wherever it comes from, and it just radiates back into outer space. The Europeans don't do this. The Asians do not do this. How do we stop the American culture from being so happy to burn energy that it really can't afford to waste?
We really need to understand that the issue is our utility and regulatory system. Utilities got to 34% efficiency when Eisenhower was in the White House. They're still at the same level today. We throw away 2/3 of the energy, and it causes many of the problems that we have. People think it's the best of all worlds, and if we do anything to change it, it'll raise the cost. In fact, it lowers the cost. So what do? You build power plants where you can recycle the heat the way Edison did. When Edison built his first generating plant in New York, he took the heat, and instead of throwing it away, he heated nearby buildings. We don't reward the utilities for efficiency. We protect them from competition. They don't have any reason to become more efficient, and it's destroying the American economy. We are so wasteful.
So specifically, I want to stop you there, because I think this is an incredible, I can't think of a more important point than the efficiency point, which sort of brings me to the nagging grandmother. You know, we need somebody telling you to close the refrigerator and turn off the lights in the room you're not in. But if you were to point toward either the system itself or the government's creation of the system, what is the leverage point that somebody like myself, who has a flashlight and a microphone, or a viewer who may want to express themselves directly, where is the leverage point? Where do we apply the pressure so that we can get out of this insanity?
We need to everybody understand that efficiency has to be the fuel of the future. We've got to, you mentioned the things that people have tried. Not in the list is the market. Utilities are monopoly protected. We've got to open that up to the market. Yeah. We have regulatory requirements by the Environmental Protection that penalize efficiency, don't reward it. We need to remove them. The president needs to sit down and say, let me look at all the laws that are creating barriers to efficiency or denying incentives and fix them. And we will, well, Oak Ridge, the DOE said that we could invest about $250 billion, generate 20% of our energy with combined heat and power, create 1 million high-tech jobs, and we think give the economy about $100 million dividend, $100 billion dividend. That's a lot of incentive for the citizens to say, wait a minute, I don't want this power system anymore.
Peter,
I want something that is rewarded for efficiency.
Thomas, I could not possibly agree with you more.